Today's daf is daf Yud Beis. Hopefully, we'll finish the Perek today. It's a long Mishnah. The Mishnah is repeating the rules of pigul that we learned already in Masechtas Zvachim. There are two kinds of pigul, which is when you're doing one of the four main activities, preparing the carbon. And if you had in mind that you are going to eat part of it, or you're going to either by human, the kainim will eat it, or the mizbeach that you will place either the wrong time or the wrong place, it is pigul. But if you had in mind the wrong time, for example, carbon that can be eaten by day and night, you had in mind to eat it the following day, then you eat it even within the time frame, you get kares. And if you had in mind that you can eat in the wrong place, even though you ate in the right place, you committed a lav, but there's no kares involved. So the first part of the Mishnah, which we did yesterday, was pretty standard. But the Mishnah said that, for example, if you did by mincha, the kmitza of the mincha is like the shchita of an animal. So you did the kmitza of mincha, and you had in mind to eat the balance, the part that's not the kmitza that gets eaten by kainim, you had in mind to eat it in the wrong time or the wrong place, or a kazayas of it. That is important, the kazayas of it, which we'll discuss. Or even just one kazayas of it. You eat in the wrong time or the wrong place. That is pigul, depending which one it is, you get kares or not. So now we're on the top of the page. Then the Mishnah says, starting from the top. This is the rule. So the first part, the Reish of the Mishnah only focuses on the kmitza activity. And there it includes also either I'm going to eat the balance of I'm going to eat the sharayim, the wrong time and place, or even one kazayas. Now, there are two ways of understanding one kazayis. Why is only one kazayis? Either there are many kazayis, but I intend to eat merely one kazayis because that's the mitzvah. For me, I'm going to eat one kazayis, and that one kazayis I'm going to eat in the wrong place or the wrong time. The other way of understanding is because the rest disappeared. We don't know where it is. All that is left, the remnant, is one kazayis, and I'm going to eat that in the wrong time, the wrong place. That's called a mincha shechasra, a mincha that went missing. Now we know a mincha that went missing, if it went missing before you did the actual kmitza, it's disqualified. You can't do anything with it, to burn it. But if the kmitza went missing if the mincha went missing after you did the kmitza, the sharayim went missing, or part of it went missing, what do you do with the balance? So here we had a machlekes Rabbi Yechon and the Shlakish. The Shlakish says you can't use it anymore, and the Rabbi Yechon says continue with the kmitza. But then we said the two Amoraim, but you cannot eat from the sharayim. But at least continue with the kmitza. Okay, what I just said to you is engaged to the Gemara we're going to learn today.
It went missing before the kmitza. There's nothing
not all of it, part of it. If any part of it is missing, if any part of the kmitza went missing before you did the kmitza, you can't continue. If after you did the kmitza, now the sharayim, or went missing between the kmitza and the haktor of the kmitza. You did the kmitza, and you have to translate, freight across to the mizbech. Sometime in the interim, part of it went missing. Nobody knows what happened. It disappeared. So then, part of it. The machlekes Rabbi Yechon is what happens. Says the Mishnah on top of the page. This is the rule. But now the Mishnah is going to repeat, but it's going to add all the four different activities that if you have a machshava, a pigul, it ruins it. This is the rule. Either during the kmitza, when you took away you scooped it out. And yesterday we learned how it's done. Or when you take the kmitza, remember after you do kmitza, you're supposed to take the kmitza and put it inside a kli sharis. And during that activity, you had in mind the wrong machshava. Or hamelech, when you're carrying the keli to the mizbeach and you had the wrong machshava. Or hamaktir, while you're placing it on the mizbeach to roast the kmitza, you had in mind. These four activities. And the haktorah on the mizbeach or the kmitza is tantamount to zrika by an animal, spraying the blood, because that's the enabler to eat the rest of the animal. This enabler to eat the rest of the mincha. And what happened? Lechol dover shadar lechol. You had to have the mind to eat something that you had a mind to eat the sharaim, not that you had a mind to eat the kmitza, because kmitza you don't eat; it goes on mizbech. Or lahaktir dover shadar laktor. You had a mind to be maktir, the wrong time, place. But what the kmitza part, not the part that the crane is supposed to eat. No, but you have to have them all the right intentions, the right thoughts, but you did one mistake, one thing wrong. If it's outside the time, pigul and chayav l'karis. Then the Mishnah continues, this we had as well as well. All of this is talking about, this is the only machshava psula that you had. Everything else you did correctly. So for example, karav hamatik mitzvah, you did everything normally. Yeah, nothing wrong. As if it was kosher. No the psul. Komats, and he's like, and explains. Komats bishtika. You did the kmitza normally. And the Nosan Bekli, but however, when you're placing the Keli or Heilich, when you carried it, or Hikti, you makrit Chutz's Mana, there you had a wrong thought, the wrong time. Or Shekamatz, or the Kmitza you did Chutz's Mana, you had in mind the wrong time. Then Nosan Bekli, Vaheilich, but the other activity you did everything correctly. Oy Shekamatz, Vin Nosan Bekli, Vaheilich, Vihikti Chutz's Mana, or you did. If you did any one of these four activities, and you had in mind the wrong time, that you can eat the shirayim in the wrong time or the wrong place, and right, so therefore they're all no good. This is the normal case of pickle. Everything else was done correctly, and you had one, the one thought that was wrong. What's the example of Ketzad loikot of hamatim? You said that if you didn't do correctly, there's no pickle. What's going on there? For example, so for example, you had kimitza, you had in mind the wrong place, but then nasan bekli or heilich or hiktin chutzes manik. Then suddenly you had a second thought. One was first you had the one activity you had a thought chutzes mekayme, and the next activity you had a thought chutzes manik. Suddenly there's a second apostle machshava here, or shekamas chutzes manik. The committee did chutzes manik, but nasan bekli or heilich did chutzes mekayme. Again, the point is that you had two different machshavas of psulim. But right now we're learning it's each machshava apostle was connected to a different activity. Or all of them. This is called shalai kodav. This is called shalai kodav hamatik mitzvasei. He did not do it correctly. So the idea is you did one chutz l'mekayme and all the other ones you did chutz l'zmanu, or one chutz l'zmanu, all the other chutz l'mekayme, two separate machshava sulim. So therefore, even though you cannot eat, there's no pickle there. Minchas chayte, the mincha of a sinner, or minchas kanais of a saita, she comes and shalai l'shma, and you did the kmitza, but you don't remember chatas. You have to have l'shma. If you did it, you did the wrong thought. Yeah, it wasn't a machshava pickle. You did l'ay l'shma. Then nosan bekliva hayliv hita chutzes manai. So you again, here's another example of having of loy mitzvasan. You had another machshava apostle, loy l'shmai. Or you should come with chutzes mani, but then nasan bekliv hayliv loy l'shman. Again, you had a second machshava, but here the second machshava was not to do with loy mitzvah. It was a totally different thing, loy l'shmai. Or you should come mati the kmitza v'loy hayliv loy l'shman. Zeu shaloi kodev hamate k'mitzvah. So this is all examples that you did not do it correctly. Or what about you had in mind lechol kazayis b'chutz? You had in mind one of the avodas. You had in mind two machshavas in one avodah. Till now we talk about one avodah. You had one machshava, another machshava. Now within one avodah you had two machshavas. For example, lechol kazayis b'chutz. You can eat a kazayis of the, let's say, of the shirayim outside, and kazayis l'machar, and you can eat another kazayis of it at the wrong time. So one is the wrong place, one the wrong time within the same avodah.
Same thing.
Two different kedasim, but within the same avodah. While you're doing the kmitza, this is what you had in mind. One of the kedasim I'm going to do. I'm going to eat place in my hometown. And one I'm going to, or in Shalim even, because it's Kodesh. Kazayis l'mocha, kazayis l'chutz, all the way around. First the kazayis you thought about tomorrow, and the next kazayis l'chutz. No, we're just switching the order. Kir chatzizayis b'chutz, kir tzach chatzay l'mocha. Right, I'm going to eat a full kazayis, but half of that will be the problem of chutz's manay, the problem of how the chumukaymo, chatzay l'mocha, chatzay l'mocha, just switch order. All the cases possible in Mekadosh. There's no Kaddish, it's not a full pickle. Amar Rabbi Yehuda argues. He says on this last thing, Zehakal, this is the rule. It depends what your first thought was. Rabbi Yehuda says you go after the first thought. That what? If it's two separate avodas, for sure, Yehuda says, if your first avodah you had in mind chutzas mani, then that's what it is. That's your baseline. If your first machshava is chutzas mekayme, that's what it is. Go a step further, even within the same avodah. So l'chayda you had both machshavas at the same time. You might think they cancel each other out. It says no. We look at your first machshava. Even if the first machshava is a half a kazayis, so l'chayda is not. That's first machshava is chutzas mani. That's what it is. So he says it. Amri zekla imachshav das man kadol machshav mark pickle chayim makadas imachshav mark machshav man possible in makadas, and the Chachamim say that makes no difference. That possible in makadas. Chachamim say no, they cancel each other out. I don't care what machshava you had first, what you had second. No kadas.
Just a question on the lashon of Mishnah.
Yeah.
We used the terminology earlier on, komatz b'shtika or hikdir b'shtika. Is that because we said we learned elsewhere that to be over on pigul, you have to actually verbally express it?
Not verbally or right now, it's not going to mind or verbally, but that shtika means even in your mind. You just menastam, and we say l'shtam and l'shma. You brought it here for a reason, so even had nothing particular in mind. The pasha is the continuation of whatever you brought it. Shtika doesn't mean to me either one. So yeah. Says the Gemara, you boy have a question. The divrei I'm a concept Yechon says shiraim shechasher make mitzvah like if there's missing part of the shiraim after the kmitzvah, because if it went before the kmitzvah, it's not talking about it. It's a pasla mincha. You did the kmitzvah properly, but then right before you were going to the mizbeach to put it on the mizbeach haktorah, part of the shiraim went missing. Do you proceed with the kmitzvah now? Just like says no, and Rabbi Yechon says yes. Okay, and novos, but you cannot eat. We had the tumarim, there are different reasons, but you cannot eat from the shiraim. So the question is, normally when you do the kmitzvah, you can have in mind pickle, for example, during the kmitzvah, you say, I'm going to eat the shirayim, whatever. It's going to be, and also you take away the meal. It's no longer stealing because you fulfilled, you made the enabler. But over here, on the one hand, you're doing the right thing because you're supposed to continue with the burning the kmitzvah. But on the other hand, it's not enabling you to eat it because you can no longer eat the shirayim. But what happens during that kmitzvah you had in mind? I'm going to eat a kazayis of this shirayim, which I'm not allowed to eat, but I'm going to eat a kazayis of this shirayim the wrong time, and then I eat it. Will I get kadosh pigul? No, on the one hand, it's what do you call it? You're doing the right thing. But say that, is it called a matter? Does it take away the meila? Does it establish the pigul if you cannot eat from it? So the Gemara, we have a rule. Did the haktorah benefit? It'll make the inu, but pigul to establish pigul of kinum b'nei and remove the meila. Amar was Abuna is like this. I feel Rabbi Akiva, even according to Rabbi Akiva, who says the machlek is Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Lezer. If let's say the animal went outside, you took the carbon, you took it outside the base of mikvah. You shouldn't. It's called yaitze, and it becomes possible. You can no longer eat it if you bring it back in. But what happened? You did the zrika afterwards. Does the zrika take away the meila? There's an isur of meila on korbanos. If you use it for yourself, you're stealing, and you have to pay the chaimish. You got to bring a sham meilas. What happens? You went ahead and you continue with the zrika. Okay, true, you cannot eat it, but did the zrika at least remove the meila, the stealing? Did it affect anything at all or not? So the chayda, it's the exact same question. That's talking about behema, zrika. And here you're talking about, and remember that the haktorah, burning the kmitza on the mizbeach, is the same thing as sprinkling the blood for a carbon. So the chayda, it would be the same machlek as tanaim. So Gemara explains maybe it's different. Because that's a case of yaitze, and here we're talking about a case of chaser. That part of it is missing. Second one follows. I feel that Rabbi Akiva even if Akiva holds that if you zrika, it helps that if you took the carbon out and then you did the zrika, there's no longer meila. Maybe that's about yaitze. Even Rabbi Akiva said because the animal is in existence, so the zrika that you did is chal on the part that's outside the base of English. You cannot eat it. The psul is a different reason altogether because it went outside the base of English. However, and the psula, the gufi, but when it comes to the case over here, we're talking about the part of the balance of the shiraim went missing. Maybe lemahani haktorah. Maybe the haktorah placed in bed doesn't help.
Now that you found it again, it doesn't.
No, never lost. No, now you find it again. Part of the mincha went missing. Part of the shiraim went missing. So the din is you're not allowed to eat it. But it went missing before you did the haktorah of the kmitza. So everyone agrees. Rabbi Yechon agree you cannot eat it. The Shlaka said don't even do the kmitza. Forget it. Too late. Rabbi Yechon said no, you continue with the kmitza. So we ask the question. So did the kmitza now, if lepoil you had in mind pigul, and then you ate when you shouldn't have eaten it, are you going to get karas, for example? So l'chayda according to Rabbi Akiva, the zrika helps once you took it out of the base of mikdash, and then you zrika, it removes the meila. So in other words, we see that the zrika is effective. So maybe according to Rabbi Akiva, the kmitza was effective to take away the meila, to help establish the pigul. Says Rabbuna, no, because over there at least the animal's in existence, and the reason why it's possible is for extraneous reason because it's outside the base of mikdash. Here, the shirayim itself is missing. Part of the mincha is missing. It's a psul. It's inherent. It's because it's an inherent psul. Maybe the kmitza you do afterwards cannot do anything as far as the shiraim is concerned. That's what Avuna says. Amalei Rava. Now we'll have the usual Rava here. He says one thing, then he changes his mind. Amalei Rava. So Rava says, Adrabah, unfaket. I would argue forget that even Rabbi Lezer holds that it doesn't help the zikr when you took it out of the base of Migdash, but that forget Mincha has a mila that maybe here the Kmitza will be effective. Why is that? Tani mili yoytze the lesser b'fnim. It's not in the base of Migdash. So the Kmitza or the zikr only affects things that's inside the base of Migdash, and Rabbi Lezer says this is outside, has no connection. The Shirayim is sitting inside. Part of it is missing, but the rest of it is sitting right here in the base of English. So the Kmitza should be effective and they should be piggle and so on. Mahani Lector, and I'll prove it to you. And how do I know? We learned in the Mishnah a very interesting thing. Our Mishnah starts off saying that if you're the very first, the Reish of the Mishnah talks about only focuses on the Kmitza, right? You did the Kmitza, the Mincha, and you had a thought that you're going to eat the Shirayim in the wrong place, the wrong time. And the Mishnah gives you two possibilities. Either I'm going to eat the entire Shirayim, or I'm going to eat a kazais of the Shirayim. And then the next part, it gives the haklal. I'm going to give you a rule, and there it says whether during the Kmitza you had the wrong thought, whether during the, whether during the, when you put in the Keli, Nosam Keli, or the Hoilich, or the Haktori, you had the wrong, same thing, but it repeats it now and says the same thing again by all four different Avodas. You had the wrong thought, you ruin it. But here, the Mishnah does not say or a kazais. Doesn't say kazais. Rabbi Chia has a number of brises that he sort of replicates the Mishnah, sometimes adds things. When he repeats our Mishnah, he takes out the word half a kazais from the entire Mishnah, even the first part. Why would he do that? So it's like this. So I told you, there's two ways of understanding what a kazais means. Kazais can mean that they're all there, but I'm only going to plan to eat only one kazais of it, and I'll eat in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or it's partially missing, and all you have left is a kazais. Two ways of understanding. Now, when it comes to the Kmitza, there's only one way of understanding. You cannot say that while I'm thinking about Kmitza, that a kazais, all we have left of the rest of the minchas is a kazais, because then it would be possible. What do I do Kmitza for? The din is if it's missing before the Kmitza, you don't do Kmitza according to everybody. So it must be over here when you said a kazais, is the mincha is intact, but all I plan to do is to eat one kazais. But the other three cases where I finished the Kmitza already, I'm just putting in the keli or I'm walking with it there, kazais can mean also all that's left is a kazais. But it's no problem, because when I did the Kmitza, it was all there. Now something happened, it went missing. Right? So there are two ways. So it's like this. There's not like when his Braise Hakoim the Mincha Letana Kazais. My time to learn a Kazais. Why doesn't he learn a Kazais? There's only one possible reason. Because Rabbi Chiva likes to be symmetric. And the problem is when it comes to the first part of the Mishnah, you have no bread but to learn Kazais means that I plan to eat one Kazais out of the whole Shirayim. Because if there's only one kazais left, I wouldn't do the Kmitza. It's possible. But when it comes to the next part, and I say the word kazais, I'm going to have to say this. There's four different activities. When you're talking about the Kmitza, you mean only that what? One kazais where they plan to eat. When you talk about other activities, it can also mean that there's all left is one kazais. So because I don't like to use one word, and you have to give me two taichin. For the first word, I said kaimitz kazais means that all I plan to do is eat one kazais out of the whole lot. And for the other thing, when I say kazais, it could also mean all you have left is eyes. She says, you know what? Take it out because it's messy. It's not clean. It's not clean, messy. And the Autana doesn't care. His style, he doesn't care if it's messy. So it's messy. Figure it out. And he says at my time, he's talking about the Kamla Gazais, because the other three cases, all you have left is Gazais. The Kiva the Matan Keli Behil Vaktora Lay Masna. And because in the what do you call it? There he doesn't say oikazais is b'kemitza b'shirayim nami lechol shirayim latoni oikazais. Therefore, he doesn't want to say oikazais at all because it will be different pshatim for kemitza. Therefore, he doesn't want kazais at all. Neither by kitza nor by the other three. Uktani Sefer, and the Sefer says Pigel l'chayav of Kodesh. Pigel l'chayav Kodesh. So it must be that he didn't want, because then you will have to say that when I say Kemitza Kazais means that only a Kazais from the whole lot, because otherwise it wouldn't be Pigel l'chayav Kodesh, because he wouldn't continue at all. And then the other ones you can be in Pshat, it doesn't want to learn that way. Alma, so but what do you see from here? What is she from here? Mahanya lehaktora. See what that the haktora helps the pile if all you have left. In the other three cases, not the kimitza. What happened? All we have left is one. Why the fact that he missed it out must be only one possible reason. It's taka only one kazayis left. Because if you're going to tell me then all the cases talking about one kazayis are the lot, then why did Rabbi omit the word kazayis? Must be because he says that kazayis can mean by halacha, by haktorah, that everything else would disappear. Oh yeah, left one kazayis, and yet he says continue with the haktorah, and yet he says chayav lepigul and chayav kares. So what do we see from here? That even though you cannot eat the shirayim, if it went missing now between the kimitza and the haktorah, it went missing. We're down to a kazayis. Yet Rabbi Kiva says, and Rabbi Chia says that's Pshat in the Mishnah, and what you get kares. So you asked the question, Rabbi Huna, you said it's not effective anymore because it doesn't enable you to eat. You're wrong. It's meferish effective because in the other three cases it's talking about all you have left is one kazayis. All you have left is a kazayis. And yet it says in the Mishnah, if you had a mind during the Haktorah, during the Halacha, during the Sinas Bekeli, you had a mind the wrong time, in the wrong place, you're going to get Kaddish. Even though you're not going to, even though this Kemitza is not going to help for the Shirayim, because all you have left is a Kazayas. How do I know the Mishnah talking about all you have left is a Kazayas? Because that's the only possible explanation why Rabbi Chia decided not to mention a Kazayas, because he learned what Kazayas means, that all you have left is Kazayas. And since by Kemitza you have to learn one way, and by the other thing you have to learn another way, it's messy. So he decided not to learn it. That's what he brings from here. That's what Rabbi says. Bye-bye comes along and rallies in defense of Rabbi Huna. No raya whatsoever. You know why Rabbi didn't learn Kazayis? Who told you that's the reason? You know why I didn't learn Kazayis? Memison, there's no pickle and cutters if it went down to a Kazayis. Kazayis means I'm going to eat one Kazayis out of the lot. So what's the problem? I'm going to eat one kazayis outside. So then why did Rabbi talk about kazayis as well? You know why? Hamani Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Chia's Braisa follows Rabbi Lezer, and the Mishnah follows Chachamim. Which Rabbi Lezer? Ditnan, we learned HaKoimitz, v'halavayna, the Kemitza, the Lavayna, Haktaras, and the Ktaidas, Minchas Kainin, the Mincha the Kainin bringing. These are all things that get burnt in Tyler Mizbech. Or Minchas Kayin Mashiach, or the Minchas Nasachin, the Mincha bringing the carbon, Shehikriv Ma'achiz Mehen Kazayis B'chutz. You took one Kazayis of that, and you did it with Chutz. The din is Chayiv, even a Kazayis. The minimum amount, you're Chayiv for Chutz. You should have done the Mizbech inside the base of Midrash, you did it outside. Oh, but Rabbi Lazar Paita, you know why? He says when it comes to Kemitza and all these things, it has to be the full share. So just like Chutz has to be the full share, so too Pigel. Your thought has to be, I'm going to eat the entire Kaimitz. I'm going to bring the entire Kaimitz, or I'm going to eat the entire Shiraim outside. And that's why Rabbi Chia omitted the word Kazai, because he follows Rabbi Lazar. Since by the Haktorah Kemitza mentioned it, Oikazai is Mekain Tzibel not Mila Masalei, Oikazai. Since Rabbi Lezer holds when it comes to the Kemitza, it has to be the full Kemitza, you can't do Kazai. So it takes out the word Kazai altogether, nothing to do with what you said, Amaisa, with that it's effective, you know. And the word kazayis can mean two different meanings, whether a kazayis of the lot or kazayis all you have left as a kazayis. Nothing to do with that. Maybe you have to have the full thing left over, because if there's only a little left over, there's no pigel anymore. You have to have full. Why doesn't he mention kazayis? Because Rabbi Lezer holds that by a kemitza you have to have the full amount in order to be yetzer kemitza or anything, or pigel, shchutichutz, everything. Very much if it's Rabbi Lezer, so how come lahaktir? It says if you had in mind to be maktir the kemitz, going to Rabbi Lezer, you're not yetzer just maktir the kemitz. You have to also have in mind the lavoina. All your bat machshava has to envelop the entire process. Everything goes on the mizbeach. The high lahakted kohen, so lahakted kohen so lonasim baile. Should have mentioned the kohen and the lavoina. That now could be learned. The kohen lavoina shikir is echem and bechutz chayiv. If you did one of them outside the chayiv, there's a point in Jack's name. It's not considered a kemitza, haktar of the kemitza, unless you burnt the kemitza and the lavoina on the beich at the same time. So if you want to make it pigel, according to Rabbi Lezer, if I thought I'm going to do the kemitza in the wrong place, wrong time, you're not even pigel. I have to have the full kemitza. I have to have in mind. I'm going to burn the kemitza and the levina, the wrong place, the wrong time. And yet, also the mission is you had in mind the kemitza. So if it's and Rabbi said the same thing. So if it's Rabbi Lezer, why doesn't he add the levina as well?
Every time he's considered levina.
Oh, says the Gemara. No kasha. Later we're talking about a kohen is the minchas chayte. Remember, minchas chayte has no oil, no levina. That's why it doesn't mention it. So the kemitza is the full job. So the Gemara, so the Tana is teaching you didn't to talk about. We said, yeah, why not? We don't care so much about the mincha. We care more about the idea of pigel. So he talks about this case, and then says the Gemara, the minchas chayta is the same like any other mincha. You need to put a kemitza on the mizbeach the four steps.
Yeah.
So that's
we say that mincha is a
yeah, but that's not the point. The point is that when you did the kimitza of the mincha chayta and you had in mind you're going to eat the sharayim the wrong time, the wrong place, so or you're going to burn the potatoes. So when you let's say did the kimitza, you had in mind I'm going to burn the potatoes in the wrong time. So if we said it's followed Rabbi Lezer, then how come you don't say I'm going to burn the potatoes and the levina with it in the wrong time, the wrong place? So we're saying in the case where there's no levina, and this follows Rabbi Lezer holds that you need a full share of kimitza, not because ice is not good enough, not like our Mishnah. But Rabbi Lezi, okay. So Rabbi changed his mind. Sorry, Abai asked him a strong question. So Rabbi said, you know what? I'll tell you something I never did before. What I said to you yesterday was wrong. I'll start again. And this is an interesting Gemara, as you'll see. The Tanya, I realize I'm wrong. And maybe Rav Huna is right. The Tanya, we learned, it says in the Pasuk, by Mincha, it says it should be Kodesh Kadoshim. That the mincha kedoshim she'im, and so it says there also that the lechem apanim is kedoshim, which is like a mincha, and says there she'im nifrasa achas mechaliseh. If one of the chalas before you did the bezichin on the mizbeach, one of the chalas broke off, so now it's a chaser, it's missing. Then kulam sulas. Then all the chalas are pasul, are all pasul, and you have to burn them. Can't eat them. So before you did the bezichin, you put in the mizbeach, one of the chalas are missing is pasul. Is mashma ha yotzes. Let's say instead of chassid, all the chalas are intact, but for some reason or another, one of the chalas walked out of the Beis Hamikdash or the Mishkan. The Beis Hamikdash is hani the ika gavoy kshay. Sounds like I'm inferring those that remain inside are kosher. Those remain inside are kosher. Who holds that yotzei? Who holds that if you spray the blood, even on the part of the carbon that's yaitse, it's all good? Is Rabbi Kiva. Man, shamalei damazika me'elz yaitse. That is, he took away the meila and so on. Is Rabbi Kiva. And yet, Ukarma says clearly here, but nifrasa, if part of it went missing, loi. That we see that Hun is right. That even according to Rabbi Kiva, that says that yaitse, if you go ahead, do the zrika, and it takes away the mila, but not when it comes to the challah. Why? Because the chsaron is a chsaron in the challah itself. Yaitse is extraneous to the carbon. The behem itself is all right. It's just he took it in the wrong place. Mashenga by challah was missing, or the mincha, the shirayim is missing. It's a chsaron thing itself. So Rabbi Hun wanted to say, according to everybody, the kmitza doesn't take away the mila, it doesn't make pickle, and I think he's right. Now he's defending him. The very Abaya who slugged the brother when he said that Rav Huna is wrong, because back says, who said? Maybe Rav Huna is wrong. If you're changing your mind because of this reason, no, you don't like my question I asked you, but you're changing your mind because of this reason here, I don't think it's a good enough reason. Me, Tani, you made an inference. Does it talk on here about Yaitse? Not at all. It just talks about Nifras or Chalabroke. So you said, La Fuke what? But if it's Yaitse, be Yaitse. Who said that's what it comes to Lafuki? Maybe it comes to Lafuki where it became Tameh. If telling you, but if it became Tameh, go ahead, it's all right. Why should Tumah be different? Because the tzitz is Maratza on the Tumah. But maybe Taki Yaitse, it's no good because it's not following the Kibbutz. Going to Rabbi Lezer. My time, that's a tzitz. Aviyotz is light. Maybe Taki, if it went outside, you would the also wouldn't be good. But Rabbi Lezer, doesn't help. Uvedinu, so why taka? So if Yaitse is good enough, shouldn't say big chiddush that even if Yaitse will say that the chalos are good. Uvedinu the boiler misnam Yaitse. I thought nifrasa. What's a nifrasa? Kamasham that feel nifrasa, because you might think that the chalos are inside the base of it. That was what we had before. Then maybe you can continue. Why burn the chalos? The remaining chalos are all here. The yisir b'fnim le'mahan yelektor doesn't help. But according to Rabbi Kiva, Taka holds that Zrika helps for Yaitse. Maybe is that Phil Nami Bag? Maybe Taki holds that Chsaron helps as well. Not like Rabbi Huna. Interesting. Anyway, it would be so nice to be a fly in the wall when a Rabbi Rabbi look together.
It comes out as the Chorif. He's the real picker, the smart one, and yet the halachas never like him.
So a lot of times Rabbi answers the Bayer well as well.
So often we have Abaya slugs him up, and
it says there are no 3 blot and shas without Abaya Rav in there. Anyway, something about it further. Next, then what have you had in mind to eat a half a kazai? Had in mind to roast a half a kazai is kosher. So 2 different activities. One is to eat, and one is for the bear to burn. Even though I said before we started to half a kazai, half a kazai is to eat tomorrow, and half a kazai is to eat hit in the wrong place. But here's two different activities. One is Haktorah, burning on the Mizbeach. One is me, but I need to combine the two. What do they have in common? It's the wrong thought. But it's two different avodas, two different outcomes and users. It's not mistarev, it's kosher, there's no pigul here. She'ein achilu Haktorah mistarev. Says the Gemara time, but let's be medayik. The whole reason is the lechol lahakted, because I had in mind eating and haktorah, two different things. What about if I had in mind to eat a half a kazayis? Let's say eat a half a kazayis of the shiraim, and velechol dover she'ein dark lechol, and eat a half a kazayis of the kmitza. So what am I thinking about? Eating. I'm going to eat, but one is something which is common for me to eat. We had in the mission before, davar she'dark lechol. And the other thing is davar she'ein dark lechol. The kmitza goes on mizbeach, doesn't go to the kohen. But this kohen had in mind, I'm going to eat a half a kazayis of the kmitza. It sounds like for the mission they will combine. Otherwise, it'd be a bigger chiddush. Because
what's the first half?
I'm going to have kazayis of shirayim tomorrow, and I'm going to I'm going to do both chutzas Monday, but I'm going to eat half a kazayis of the shirayim. Chutzas Maneh, and I'm also planning to take half of the kazayis of the kmitza after the kmitza and eat it chutzas Maneh. So both of them are achila, but one is something that belongs to mizbech, and so that's the normal. You don't normally eat kmitza. So wouldn't that be a bigger chiddush the Mishnah should have said? Sounds like in the Mishnah, but that would combine to be a pigul. But says the foundation of the nation in the beginning, the Mishnah we learned, the long Mishnah says that clearly. Lechol davar shedarka lechol hakted davar shedarka lahakted. You have to have in mind the right thing, that the right procedure. Process that we do them. Says the Gemara, the author of this Mishnah is not the same author as the Mishnah we learned before. This Mishnah here follows Abelezer holds Mechashvin. Just close the window. Sorry.
In the middle of the
This second Mishnah follows Rabbi Lezer holds, and we had his machlekes zvachim. The Amar said mechashvin ma'achilas adam la'achilas mizbech. You do combine the achilas because they're both achila. Mechashvin adam. Now we learned hakoyim is a mincha. Who is this Rabbi Lezer? So this second Mishnah is Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer holds that you do combine achila and achila. So that's what. And the first Mishnah was a chacham hold you don't combine achilas mizbech achilas adam. We learned if somebody is kaimet a mincha lechol davar she'darka lechol. The kaimet's a mincha part that you don't eat, for example, a kmitza ulahakted davar she'darka lahakted, or to be maktas something which you can take the shiraim and do it on mizbeach. Pasha, the wrong thought. Rabbi Lezer Paisel. Abaye says no. I feel it rabbanon. I can argue that this second mission is rabbanon. But who told you that your diik is correct? Loitem, but don't be medayik. Don't be medayik that the Mishnah. What's the chiddush in the Mishnah? And you need to tell me that Haktorah and Achil don't combine. Okay, the Mishnah is the inference. But what's the inference? You thought the inference is, but eating and eating mizbeach it does combine. No. That if you combine two things which are common to that they're both meant to be eaten, it's mitzaref. That's chiddush. So we learned from the previous Mishnah. Lechol kazayis b'chutz kazayis l'mocher kazayis b'chutz kechatzi b'chutz chatzi l'mocher chatzi l'mocher b'chutz. Possibly we read before the idea that you can combine things that if it's meant to be eaten, you can combine even different thoughts. So you tell me, tell me the whole purpose of this Mishnah is the din itself. Is no chiddush. The whole purpose is to give me a chiddush that you can combine, different thoughts and the eating. Then we know the previous Mishnah. It's not sulamli. What do I need this for? If you eat lechol v'lechol davar, so what's the purpose of this Mishnah? Unless lechol v'lechol davar ain't lechol, right? Unless what we said lechatchila. It's coming to tell you that you're combining something which is normal to be eaten with something that's not normal, like mitzvah. But the mistadif, mereisha shaman we rain off from the reisha. That's not mistadif. We said before, davar shedarke lechol, and davar shedarke lechol doesn't come mistadif. Okay. With a lot of gesayis. If it's to tell me just the Mishnah itself, the chiddush of the Mishnah, that if you take a half a gazayis of eating for consumption for koinim and half a gazayis which goes in mizbech, and to tell you that not mitzdarif, I would have known that right from the first Mishnah. It says davar shedarke lechol, then obviously a haktorah on the mizbech, a half a gazayis, and eating half a gazayis don't combine. The hash, yeah, the nation and the hashta. Madach, and how do we learn out? Malech, velech, davish, and akalech, amid lemistada. Madach, to eat something which is for the coin to eat, half a gazais, and to combine with something from the mizbech. Don't combine velech and you can eat both of them. You can eat that and eat this. Is lech or lahak the boy? So what's this mission telling you? I'm going to eat, half a kazai is the wrong place, and I'm going to eat, and I'm going to be makir half a kazai is in the wrong. Of course, eating doesn't combine. Surely, an activity of eating, an activity of burning, two different activities. Of course, they don't combine. What do you need to? What's the, if the inference is not a chiddush, the din itself of the mishnah is not a chiddush? What's the point of the whole mishnah? So you want to know? The whole chiddush mishnah is itself. This din. What's the chiddush? I would have thought. Some who over there, if I'm going to eat a half a kazayis of the kaimitz, it doesn't combine ki urchik and mechashiv. He only combines things which are common. But Mashenkin, what do you call it? I'm going to eat the kmitza. Nobody eats the kmitza, therefore it's not misadif. That's what the Mishnah before told us. Over here, I'm having in mind the right things. I'm having in mind I'm going to be makta the kmitza. I'm having in mind I'm going to eat the shirayim. Novas, it's two different activities. I would have thought maybe they combine because I'm doing with each one exactly what is meant to be done. I'm thinking each one exactly what you meant to do with it. Maybe it's not going to do combine because I'm doing the avodas of this mincha. Part of it is a kmitza, part of it is, and I'm having in mind that half a kmitza I'm do the wrong time, half of I'm eating, I'm doing the wrong time as well. Maybe they combine. Mashallah doesn't combine. Okay.